Vladimir Leontiev, the Russian-appointed mayor of Nova Kakhovka in Ukraine's occupied Kherson region, has been killed in a Ukrainian drone strike, according to the area's Kremlin-backed governor, Vladimir Saldo. Saldo reported that Vladimir Leontiev had been seriously wounded in a drone strike on Wednesday morning and was in critical condition in the hospital. Later, he confirmed that Leontiev had died from his injuries. Saldo described Leontiev as a true patriot, noting that he was among the earliest supporters of the United Russia Party in the region. In April 2022, Ukrainian prosecutors charged Leontiev with collaborating with the enemy. According to state investigators, he began cooperating with Russian forces on April 2 and was installed as head of the so-called temporary civil administration in Nova Kakhovka. Prosecutors said he urged residents to work with the Russian military and spoke of the need to build ties with the aggressor state. Leontiev was 61 years old. In April 2022, the occupation authorities appointed him the so-called head of Nova Kakhovka. He was charged with a number of crimes: collaboration, involvement in the kidnapping of journalist Oleh Baturin, and the kidnapping of Berislav mayor Oleksandr Shapovalov. Novaya Kakhovka is under the control of the Russian occupiers since the beginning of the full-scale invasion of the Russian Federation in 2022. The city became the administrative center of the temporary power appointed by the occupiers, and the local leadership was headed by collaborators. Russian troops established control over key infrastructure facilities, organized force structures and tried to subordinate the city to their administrative norms. Earlier in Novaya Kakhovka, a car was blown up in which the executive secretary of the local branch of United Russia, Vladimir Saldo, was. It is also known that Ukrainian partisans in the temporarily occupied Novaya Kakhovka conducted a successful sabotage against the occupying administration of the city. At least 10 people were injured in a Russian drone strike on the Ukrainian city of Dnipro on Tuesday, according to local officials. According to Associated Press, video released by the office of President Volodymyr Zelensky showed damaged buildings, strewn debris, and emergency services at the scene.
в здании.
The Kremlin responded to the U.S. administration's statements regarding President Donald Trump's approval of Ukrainian airstrikes deep into Russia and the possible supply of Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. As Dmitry Peskov, press secretary for Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, noted, Moscow has heard these statements. They are very serious and is now carefully studying and analyzing them. Our military specialists are closely monitoring this. The questions remain. Who can launch these missiles, even if they end up on Kiev regime territory? Can only Ukrainians launch them, or should American military personnel do so? Who is guiding these missiles? The Americans or the Ukrainians themselves? Russian media quoted him as saying, regarding the possible provision of Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, according to the Kremlin press secretary, it is necessary to understand the potential threats and who will be involved in the process. And then it will be possible to determine a position. Even if that happens, there is no panacea that can change the situation on the front lines for the Kiev regime. There is no magic weapon. Whether it's Tomahawks or other missiles, they won't be able to change the dynamic, Peskov said. As previously reported, Zelensky requested Tomahawk missiles during a closed meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump in New York. According to the Telegraph, the meeting was received extremely positively. The Ukrainian president argued that providing Tomahawk missiles would help Putin to come to the negotiating table. However, there is no definitive confirmation yet that the U.S. will agree to transfer Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance recently stated that the U.S. administration is considering transferring Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. The host asked him whether the Trump administration is discussing the possibility of providing these weapons to Ukraine. He responded that President Trump will make the final decision and that he will base his decision on this issue, based on U.S. interests. Furthermore, U.S. Special Representative for Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, stated that Trump had authorized Ukraine to launch long-range strikes against Russia. When asked directly whether the U.S. president believed Ukraine could launch long-range strikes against Russia, Kellogg responded that the president had authorized it. I think after reading what he said, as well as what Vice President Vance and Secretary Rubio have said, the answer is yes. Use the long-range strike capability. There is no hiding place, he said.